Hello and welcome. Today we'll be seeing how to digitally transact an ATA Carnet on the ATA Carnet system. And we'll be using in particular the ATA Carnet App and ATA Carnet Customs. So let's start. Let's pretend that the issuing association has just given me the Carnet ID and the PIN code to download the Carnet into my wallet. So let's see how I would do that. So I'll tap on the plus sign at the top right and enter the Carnet ID and Carnet PIN codes provided. Okay, so here's the Carnet just downloaded. I can see here some details of the Carnet. Especially I can see how many sets I have available. So how many exports, re-imports, imports, re-exports, and transits. I can see the countries or customs territories that are guaranteed by this Carnet. The issuing association details. I have the general list of goods. I have attached documents if there are any. And a novelty for the digital Carnet is the history section of the Carnet. So I will see live all the transactions of this Carnet. And this is where the digital operation starts for the digital Carnet, the Travels tab with the Prepare Travel function. Okay, so once we've got the digital Carnet ready onto the ATA Carnet app, the first thing that you'll want to do is to prepare travel, which means that you'll be preparing the declarations to show to customs. So to do that, I'll go to the Travels tab and tap on Prepare Travel. Now the first field is a nickname field to remember or to easily find this Prepare Travel later on. So it can be whatever you want, and I'll just type in for me declarations for ease of reference. Then I need to select the departure and destination country or customs territories. By default, it's giving me my country of origin of this Carnet, which in this case, it's Sildavie, one of the dummy countries just to practice and test. And I will say that I'm going to another select dummy country, Bordeaux. Then another optional field, to location, city, event use. Dummy event. And then I need to select the means of transport. This is a mandatory field, so I'll say by land. Then any extra details, an optional field. So for example, flight number, license plate, whatever. So I'll say license plate AA1234, whatever. I can then select if I need any transits, any transit vouchers also filled in. I can do that by tapping the plus button here, and I can start selecting the countries or customs territories through which I'll be traveling through. In this case, I am not going to use any transits, so I'll remove that. And I'll move on to the declared items. So what items am I going to declare? So I'll open up this page, and there's a few ways you can fill in this page. The easiest one is just to select all items if you're using or you're taking all of your items. If not, I can individually add numbers from the general list with the plus and minus icons, or I can also type in the numbers. So for example, 1 to 20 would give me automatically 1 to 18 because I have only 18 items, correct? So what I'm going to do, just to be quick, is select all. So 1 to 80. I go back. Last field, optional, is packaging details. So I'll just type in. Yeah. And then I tap on Save. So once I tap on Save, my prepared travel is ready to be used. I get to the screen, and to actually use them, I need to go to the QR code section. So I tap on the QR, and I can see that my vouchers, my QR codes, my transaction codes, all ready to be presented to customs. The only final step that I need to do as a holder is to confirm my liability. I'll confirm, and the QR code is now ready to be used and shown to customs. If I needed to, I can edit the travel, and once I've done my edits, I tap on save and we're ready to go. So I've got my validation and I've got my exportation ready to be used. Now I go to customs. Okay, so here we are on ATA Carnet Customs. I am logged in as a customs user, and this is the home page that I'm presented with. And from here, this is where we start the transactions. So what I can do here is I can either type manually in the Carnet ID or Carnet number and the transaction code given to me by the holder or representative, or I can scan the QR code from the phone directly. So this is what I'm going to do now. So open the camera. Okay, so now we're on step 2, and we can see here that this is a validation of this Carnet. So just like on the ATA Carnet app, I'll have general information of the ATA Carnet. In particular, I see the validity date of the Carnet. I see the general list, the history of a Carnet. In this case, it's empty. It's a brand new Carnet. And then the countries and customs territories that are guaranteed under this Carnet. When I'm ready, I can go to the next step, and this is where I need to check the goods. So I have the full general list in this case because it's a validation. I can put any identification marks if necessary, just like with the paper Carnet. And again, I have the general list, the history, and the countries, customs, territories guaranteed by the Carnet. Essentially like box B of the paper Carnet. So in this case, I can move on. Okay, so this is the final review step of the Carnet. It's step 4. I need to specify if the goods have been examined or not. So I'll click on yes. Then there's an optional field, the customs reference number. So it can be whatever you like. Then some customs remarks that will be visible to other customs throughout the life cycle of the ATA Carnet. Here's a summary of the declared goods. And in this case, since it's a validation and we'll have all the items from the general list. And when I'm ready, I can commit the transaction. So the final step is the receipt. This is where we have a final review of what we have just transacted. Okay, so now that we've done the validation, let's move on with the exportation. And I can quickly jump back to the home page by clicking on plus transactions at the bottom. Now at this point, I need to get the Carnet ID and Carnet number and the transaction code for the exportation from the holder or representative. Like before, we can import them manually or we can scan the QR code. So as the holder, I will swipe right to show the exportation QR code, and I will give this to the customs officer. So I will scan the QR code from the holder or representative. And now we're on step 2 for the exportation. Again, just like before and just like with any other transaction type, I always have the general information of the ATA Carnet at the top. In step 2, we have again the general lists, the history of the Carnet, and in this case, we can see that the validation was committed. And again, box B. Then we get to step 3 where we check the goods being declared. So these are the goods that have been exported. So they might not be all the items from the general list, but just the items that are being taken by the holder or representative. I can also put identification marks here if necessary. In this section, I see some details provided by the holder or representative that prepared the declaration. For example, we have the means of transport that we selected before on the ATA Carnet app. We have some extra details and packaging details. At the bottom, we still see the general list, the full general list if needed, the history of the Carnet, and box B. So when I'm ready, I can go to the next step. Next step is where we commit the transaction. So the first field I need to fill in, it's optional, but it's the final date for duty-free re-importation. Now, by default, this is the same date as the validity date of the carnet, but I can shorten it if necessary. Then I have a customs reference number. This is an optional internal use only number if you need. And then we have the customs remarks field, which will be visible to other customs throughout the life cycle of the ATA Carnet. Then we have one final look at the goods being declared. And again, as usual, the general list, the history, and box B. So when I'm ready, I can click on export. In this case, I see export without exit and export as a two-button function. This is specific for customs administrations that require a two-step exportation. To cover most common cases, I will just show you a normal exportation. So I confirm, and the transaction will be now committed and registered in the digital ATA Carnet system. So here's the receipt. We see what we've just processed and the goods declared. Now, there are some cases, some scenarios where you might discover that there's an error, a mistake in the declaration in the transaction just processed, either you or the holder or representative. So in that case, you'd want to cancel the transaction to redo it with the amended data. So to do that, you need to get a cancellation code from the holder or representative, whoever is present there at customs, and you would have to put it in this section here. So as a holder representative, the cancellation code is found beneath the QR code. In this case, the exportation one, here it is at the bottom. So I need to give this code to the customs officer, who needs to manually input it into ATA Carnet Customs so that they can cancel the committed transaction. Then, as a holder representative, I amend my declaration, re-show the QR code to reprocess the transaction from step 1. All right, so we saw how to digitally transact the ATA Carnet on the ATA Carnet system. As you saw, it is quite easy and straightforward. The system guides you throughout the process. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and thank you for watching.